and Kyle.
And then make sure we get it right, too. Which one's Jeff? Which one's Kyle?
Here we have Jeff
Crap.
and Kyle.
What episode are we?
I need 6.
25.
We are not episode 25.
Nope.
Do 6.
Edit.
Intro.
Go for it.
Oh, wow. All right. Hello. Welcome to the podcast from Duendelvin. I'm Taylor. Here we have Jeff and Kyle.
Hi.
Today, we will be talking about the 10th race.
Paste.
Alrighty.
You go ahead and keep talking while I send these out to the people that need to know.
Well then,
The people
what?
need to know.
Who are the 10th race?
Well, the 10th race is the Nactusanctus. And they are the 10th race. The reason we didn't cover them in all the race videos is... That's awesome.
You got green screen action.
Wow, that's funny. I don't even know how it's green screen.
That is
Okay, so the
amazing.
Nactusanctus. The reason we didn't cover them with the 9 races is because the 10th race was created after the fact by Duendelvin. After he abandoned the 9 races, he went to the other side of the world and created an island and then put a people group on the island whose sole purpose was to just worship him. And so that's the Nactusanctus.
Interesting.
We don't actually have a picture of them, so we will not be displaying it like we usually do with the 9.
I mean, it's kind of hard to display a picture of a people whose soul body is made out of pure thought. And
Well, I
force
had
of
a
will.
picture of them somewhere once upon a time, but that has since...
They're like a Mike Shinoda song. They're just sheer concentrated power of will.
So yeah.
I make many apologies, but that is not one of them.
So what do you want to know about the Nactusanctus?
Yeah, send it.
Alright, well. Let's go with what we usually did with the 9 and what was their home life like?
Yo,
What was their home like?
they lived in perpetual paradise. Alright, so here's kind of the low-key shenanigans. Ready for this? It's not the low-key, it's the high-key, I guess.
The shenanigans.
The shenanigans. Parbocon looked at the creations that him and his brother had made and was like, well, I've embarrassed myself in front of them. I got a dip. And he goes, "Pyong!" And he flees. And he gets there and he's like, you know what? It's lonely by myself. I need worshippers. So he creates the Nactusanctus. And he's like, well, I don't want them to die. I also don't want them to be distracted by messing with each other. So they don't procreate. They're asexual. They just continue. They're perpetual. And that's why he created the ability for them to create their bodies and kind of explain that anyway. But so their life is literally paradise. They want for nothing. Their sole purpose is to entertain the P-Man. Yo.
Maybe we shouldn't refer to him that way.
That's fair. Their sole purpose is to entertain the big Parbocon. The big con.
The big...
He is a big con.
The big mom.
And so he teaches them everything. Everything they learn, everything they do, everything they behave is all about, hey, that was pretty funny. Do that again, but better. And they're like, oh, God loves me. And that's how they behave. They really do. That's their home life is we live to serve. And everything they create is to serve.
So
And
that
since
would-
they don't have children, there's not like
Distraction.
a raising and like a home life
Necessarily?
necessity.
Ah!
Oh,
A raising of the children necessity. So yeah, real simple, real straightforward. All their food that they need grows on the island. Like it's very, yes.
I mean, Parbocon took all the lessons that his brother taught him as well and kind of combined them into one. So they never want for flavor because they've got alcohol berries.
Oh.
Hey, but something different. It's almost like manna from a bush all the time. So yeah, they don't have to cultivate unless they want to. And they're like, hey, let's build something new for God. And God's like, oh, for me? It's like little kids who bring you like weeds and rocks, and God's like, good job.
That's wonderful. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, home life for them is literally servanthood and toddlerism. They're actual toddlers with no responsibility.
Dang.
Yeah.
All right.
What else you got at question wise?
Do they have a divine purpose, or is that just it?
So their divine purpose is to honor Parbukon exclusively, in line with the other 9 races, right? So the Nactusanctus were created, like Kyle was saying, with a little bit of everything. So their divine purpose is to worship Parbukon, and so some of them do it through building and creating, some of them do it through innovation, magic, the different. So it's like as if Parbukon was like looking at the other 9, and he's like, I'll take a little of each and make the Nactusanctus using all of that. So yeah.
Interesting.
You gotta pet it so it doesn't
guess.
raise up. You gotta keep the bubbles down.
Yeah. Well, guess that can bring us into what is their advancements in technology and magic like? In fact, what is their magic like in general?
So they're unique when they're created, because they're the only creatures that aren't broken that can do both essence and arcane.
Oh.
They're created kind of a duality, where the two energies never actually mix and mingle. So they have essence side and they have arcane side, and that way they can do some shenanigans that way. It was designed that way so they never have to want for tools. Arcane has the ability to create an item, a weapon of sorts, effectively is what its combat function is. But it also gives them the ability, if they're thirsty, they can just be like, oh man, I'm thirsty. And drink some water. Or, oh man, it's hot outside. Splash. Oh no, I hurt myself. Heal. And they don't have to worry about it. Whereas Essence, then they can focus on a particular function of Essence, and they can be like, oh yeah, and on this side of me, fire. It's a day. And so yeah, like they're unique in that regard, which creates some different evolutions and advancements in their technology as well. They end up being our most technologically advanced race because they build everything up and innovate without conflict, without question, without function. So they do things for entertainment and sport.
And for glory.
And for glory and ease of life, which they already have a pretty easy life, but anything they can do to entertain their god and make their life easier is like double whammy, super bonus. Yeah. Washing machine. Yes. I can absolutely see them having washing machines.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
They would have like streetlights, lampposts, all that fun stuff without having to do ritual magic. No ritual magic here.
Ooh.
We harness
No need.
lightning. Sorry, but then like it's shooting lightning out of my hands because that's something that essence wielders can do.
They also create blimps,
Airships. Yup.
So
And they make guns. They make steam guns for entertainment purposes, like contests. They'd still have like rivalries of small sorts where it's like, my glory is much better than yours. Oh yeah, prove it. Okay, to the shooting range. Pull. And they effectively do it because they have the ability to manipulate water and fire. So they make steam backpacks so they can just continuously replenish the steam pressure. And so they wear these like almost like tanks of just steam pressure, and they have a pressure gauge that builds up, and they go and just like launch this stuff. Cabaneri, I think, is the anime that does that pretty well. Also, they make steam guns. It's on Amazon. Totally worthwhile. Totally check it out.
Okay.
It's really entertaining. No, not sponsored at all.
not sponsored.
But that's kind of the idea. Is they did that for entertainment. Their airships and blimps. They figured out how to raise them up through. It's not just hot air. It'd be different manipulation of the chemicals in the air, using their magic and their different technological processes. Cannons, which are more like fireworks at this point. They're not weaponized. The steam cannon, so there's like not actually an explosion until it goes makes pretty colors.
Oh Oh my gosh.
This is for you, God.
So pretty.
And the fun part is they're innovating. Even if they blow themselves up, they technically don't die. Because part of the whole thing is Parblecon created a device when he first created them and put their souls bound to this crystalline device. Their memories and their soul go back to this device, and as long as one of the Nactusanctus is around, they can reform the body for that person, and that person can then, that Nactusanctus creature can then inhabit that body.
Huh.
Yep. So they kind of perpetual. They don't die unless you wipe out everybody or break the crystal.
Interesting.
No. Bad. No. I don't know what that is.
Wonderful.
That should be on silent. I will make sure it's on super silent now.
Okay.
Super
Double
silence. So, for those who are assuming that's the Kim Possible ringtone, you are incorrect. That's Power Rangers, baby.
Also not sponsored.
Not sponsored. Oh.
We aren't
No
sponsored by
sponsors.
anybody.
So yeah, like this is the Nactusanctus in a nutshell. They are a goofy group of guys and gals and whatever they want to be. Actually, they don't have any sex. There's no need for it.
Right.
So yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. Hey, what other questions you got for us, Miss Tay?
Well, I know they live in paradise, but like, have they fought any wars, anything, or do they just live peacefully?
They just live peacefully.
They do play acting at conflict. It's like they wouldn't do actual conflict. They wouldn't understand conflict. They would have the ability to utilize the martial arts and essence and an arcane, but it would be like an elaborate dance. They wouldn't actually... I mean, they technically could because they can't kill each other. So, like, their contests are to the death, but it's very fluid. It's very ancient samurai, one-on-one duels for the entertainment of Parblecon. They're literally going to kill themselves.
Right.
for his
So it
entertainment.
wouldn't be like war
No.
with like sieges and destruction and all that. It would be because death is not final for them. They're just fighting at each other. So they do finally experience conflict when the age of expansion ends and the gods get blocked out. They get severed from the connection to Parblecon, and so they are like, "Oh no, what do we do now?" Because Parblecon's not here, and so that's when they use their airships and they travel to the lands where the other 9 races exist and all the empires are, and then they start to experience all that stuff from there, and
It gets goofy.
yeah, it would get weird. And so their interaction, because they have a little bit of everybody, and so their divine purpose would be different, and they wouldn't understand the Horakai, and now they're arguing with everybody because of what the Horakai did and who's God and all that kind of stuff. So there would be conflict, and then when they
There wouldn't
died,
be any more Horakai. This is the age of the godless. The Horakai got
right?
popped.
But a lot of people
would
would still
believe the Horakai were gods.
exactly. So I mean, the Nactusanctus got separated from Parblecon. They still believe Parblecon is.
That's true.
So people would still believe that the Horakai were gods. The problem would arise when they kill a Nactusanctus and then they get reformed back at their home on the island, and they could travel back. And then so there's this perpetual
invasion force
that
because they get kind of salty. They're like, "Yo, what'd you do with Daddy? What'd you do with Daddy Parblecon? You're holding him here somewhere, right? When he got yeeted off our island home, you did it. It's your fault.
It's your fault.
Where'd you put him?" And they're like, "Who are you even talking about, bro? The Horakai are the gods. You want to have a problem? Like, what is this Parblecon you're speaking of?" And the City of the Wise is like, "Do do 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 do. No.
Oh, hey.
Oh.
So yeah.
This does not involve me.
So the other thing.
Well, at the Age of the Godless, it does.
That's fair.
Because Duendelvin goes to the City of the Wise and Tiafa, thank you. And they
It's been a day.
join forces.
Yep.
And that becomes Duendelvin's city that she marshals her forces out of. is the city of the wise, and
And they weaponize the technology of the Nactusanctus effectively and educate them on Parbocon's actual behavior. You know,
mhm.
they unify all the races, and we're like, you know what?
Well, the Nactusanctus wouldn't be unified in that because even if Barbicon acted a certain way towards the Nine, he didn't act that way towards the Nactusanctus.
That's true.
So
But they can't really kill him. So
they would have to go find the crystal.
and they'd be like they don't have the technology at the time, like sailing across the ocean for that far. It would be not even like
No, but they could take the blimps.
they could take the blimps, because if you kill all the Nactusanctus operating the blimps, then all of a sudden you have a blimp. Hey man, I got a blimp.
I got a blimp.
I got a blimp.
And Duendelvin's essentially unstoppable.
I have the armor with the shards in it. Come at me, bro.
And Clat.
Oh gosh, with Clap. They're an unstoppable duo.
Oh boy.
Because yes, eventually, like we talked about, Clat and Duendelvin wipe out, all run into the gods. They're like, hey, all right, you guys up there? And they're like, yeah. They're like, hey, yeah, you think you're safe from us and, you know, the judgment we're going to unleash upon you for just being complacent in this behavior? Yeah, you can't touch us. Check out my blimp, bro. My blimp got cannons. What you gonna do?
Well,
So then Duendelvin, it would have been towards the end of the Age of the Godless, but Duendelvin would have sent a scouting party to find out where the Nactusanctus are coming from. And that's when all that would have happened, where they would have found the crystal.
If they hold the crystal ransom, they've effectively controlled the populace. So she kind of coerces them through force to continue to create and operate the machinery that they need.
Mm-hmm.
She makes the great drill that creates the pathway down into the underworld. Yep. So yeah, the Nactusanctus, though, when we're talking about like having this force come out that just continues to come back no matter what you do, and that just remembers you. We're also talking about their first interaction was very unusual, because their existence would be that I can kill you and you come back, whatever. So they would kill a Savarionite and be like, just come back and face me again, bro. Like, this is just fine. Let's just play. We're just playing. And they're like, that's an act of war. You just killed my brother.
Right. Because they don't come back.
So then all of a sudden, like, there's a whole lot of misunderstanding when the Nactusanctus first show up. And then the Nactusanctus have the ability to reform themselves. So they can be like, oh, hey, I need to glide on the winds. I'm going to be a blimp operator and a dive bomber. So I'm going to build a body for me that has leathery wings that I can extend out like a flight suit and come flying on down on you. Or I'm like, oh, hey, let me just go ahead and turn myself into a crawling tank with like spindly legs. Because their force of like it's pure will, and the crystal's power generates whatever they want it to be. So if you wanted to have three of them come together and make them a freaking a Jaeger, a giant robot, they totally could come out there and be like, "Hey, what's up, City Wall?"
oh boy.
So yeah, they're kind of terrifying force to begin with, and so Duendelvin figured out pretty quickly: find the source, control the source, but don't eliminate them entirely.
Right.
Control the source, control the people.
Yep. Easy peasy.
Ugh.
For Duendelvin.
Oh
Right?
boy.
And I mean, thinking about it too, the ability to utilize both magics at once, the first thing you would come across is they're broken.
Right.
It's a whole new level, because the broken.
And they're like, I don't even know what that means.
Yeah. How can you do that? They're like, you can't. It's like, no. So they would first think they were broken, which would lead to conflict as well. On top of that, the way they say hello is they shoot you. Plus, I mean, they do have guns. We're talking about like they're coming up against people with crossbows and bows, and then these homies roll up with like, look at you. Blur!
What the?
It's a little wild. Yeah, totally fair. 100% balanced.
Dude, this is probably one of the most balanced races.
One-sided massacre.
So they're pretty wild. Barbicon, I mean, thinking about it too, like, they were just built for entertainment. That's it. They were built to worship and entertain. And then to have to learn, it's like the other 9 races have had to grow and learn and progress without their gods originally, and then have had God meddling with the Horakai, that have kind of stagnated their growth, but also did force them to come together out of segregation. And so it's effectively like, here's a bunch of toddlers with firearms versus, it's such a bad analogy, versus adults with sticks. Like, perpetual toddlers. It's a terrifying concept in my brain. But just their understanding of the world is so minuscule, so limited, and
Right.
they've been denied that. They did take a lot of bravery because they were told their entire existence, hey, there's nothing beyond this island. Don't go out there. There's nothing worth it there. There's nothing out there. I built this for you. This is just our world here. So they had to break their rules that God set apart for them to go and find God.
Yeah.
So then there's some bravery to them, too.
Yeah.
Courageous.
What are the questions you got, Tay? I've been talking a lot.
Would they even be able to operate the blimps if they got a hold of one? Like the Savarionites?
Why wouldn't they be able to? I mean, they still have access to all the same things.
That is true.
It would just take 2 people instead of 1 to refill it if it was necessarily a combination of gases to create.
But
Plus,
yeah, they absolutely could.
all Savarionites have that divine spark. So they can create magic to suit their needs as well.
Oh.
They just had never had.
Also, because of their perpetual life, the biggest thing that the Nactusanctus would fear after they encountered the 9 races was imprisonment, because that would be something unique to Savarionites that the Nactusanctus didn't do, because they could fight it out and one of them would die and then come back and it's no big deal.
It'd be like, good
right?
game, bro.
But the idea of being imprisoned and unable to live out your life
In a cell.
in a
without
cell,
yeah.
and would be something that they feared, and so that very quickly became a tool of control. Like, hey, you can either do this or we'll imprison you, because we understand death has no impact on you.
Putting someone perpetually in the stockades is terrifying. You're locked there. You can't kill yourself. You can't die because you don't need to eat. You don't really need to drink. It's just a function, but it's not a required function. You can
Right.
sustain yourself indefinitely. So just imagine then, like, you come up on the wall and there's like the border between your realm and theirs, and here's the guys who decided to break the rules, and they're just stuck there in the stocks. And you come back 60 years later, they're still stuck there in the stocks, haven't finished their sentence.
Interesting.
And if you secure them so they can't unalive themselves, they can't be reborn.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
Huh.
Absolutely. An eternity of immobilization. Not a fan.
Yeah.
I don't think I can sit still long enough to know. Just know.
Alrighty.
Wow.
Well, I think we're
Getting close to it.
getting close on the Nactusanctus. So we have about 30 days left on the Kickstarter.
Heck yeah.
So
Go out there, hit us up, get that money flowing in. We want to be able to get the board game to you, and then also be able to keep working solely on getting the role-playing game to you, and getting the books written out so you can have the stories in your living room. And yeah, that's what we're looking for, and that's what the Kickstarter is going to help us do, is get that off the ground so we can focus full time on this passion project. And I think you guys will really enjoy it. I know you will.
So
Check out the gameplay video. And Jeff and I are going to do some new tutorials to kind of explain how you get the game set up and everything like that as well.
Mhm.
And yeah, we'll just push this.
alrighty.
Wow.
Any other questions before we dip out?
Not particularly, but... Ah, crap, I lost my train of thought.
So I feel like instead of the piece of paper, we should just announce it.
You just want to go with the announcement? I thought the paper would be fun too.
It might be.
There may be an update.
There may be an update.
Little update.
We'll have to do some...
I think we should just announce it.
Okay, yeah, go for
It'll
it.
be easier. So, because it's April 1st, we are doing an April Fool's. The Nactusanctus were actually created. We did build them. We did create them. But we have retconned them. So this entire episode
Is not a
is about a race that was going to be, but never actually was. So when the final game gets released, when the role-playing game gets released, they will not be available. We actually developed 9 different races for underwater for Barbicon. A similar idea, but it's 9 races that are all synergetic. We will cover those at a different time, but we wanted to do something a little fun today. So we decided to talk about a race that will never be.
Because they were totally fair and totally balanced.
Totally balanced.
Totally balanced.
They're like the most balanced. Guns, steam power, steampunk race. What?
Unkillable. Yeah, totally balanced.
Had the power of all the other races. We balanced all the 9 races into one. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's like Jack Jack.
They can hold
Also
every
not a
single
sponsor.
magic.
So we aren't sponsored by anybody
Nope.
except Savarion Games.
Yep. Yeah, so no, DreamWorks is not a sponsor.
But if you're watching, we're open to it.
Reach out, hit us up. We got great ideas for days. But yeah.
All right.
So
Well,
yeah, we after much deliberation.
comment, like, share.
Yep. Let's go.
And we love you guys.
Thanks for popping in.
Woo!
Bye.
Bye.